is really, really core of our society. I think all things can sort of, we recognize that. Buses need to function in a specific time, trains need to function. If it doesn't, it's a catastrophe. And all the energy goes, not all the energy, but a lot of energy goes to this, that we want to keep the processes going on. So this is the kind of a Finnish stereotypical, but also kind of that I feel that it is. It is a very beautiful thing, but it's simultaneously, it's like a paradox. It is wonderful, but it also might block us as a nation to become something beyond. For example, what we have followed from Estonia, our sister country, how we Finns feel. So your digital steps, what you have done in a national level, it's amazing. And the progress you have done, it's an amazing. And I think there is something flavor this engineer thinking, design thinking, plus something else. So that's kind of a background. And I'm coming from Technological University, Lappeenranta University of Technology. So all the research I've been done amongst engineers, industrial management engineers, and economics. I've worked with a multidisciplinary research team, so there have been researchers from various backgrounds, but the core has been this industrial management context and then organizational context. So all the research I've done has been done in a kind of a practical context, either in a public organization or private organization. And today we will be talking about public organizations, and that's sound machine is from my bag, and it is seen to live a life in his own way. One really kind of important thing is the timing. So, is there a break? When is the next break? Yeah. You kind of know.
Yeah. We're quarter to 11 now.
Yeah.
What would be best?
We'll have a coffee break. There's coffee there now.
Yeah. Or we could have a. We go till
12:30 lunch.
It's lunch.
Okay.
So it's now quarter to 11, and there's coffee there if people would like it, whenever during the time.
And all right. And if it's okay for you, I explain maybe two different concepts before we go to the first presentation. So day is structured in a way that this morning is about arts-based research in the field of landscape architects and engineers. So the context is practice and how these professionals develop their field. And then Sari will share her knowledge in that field. You have like 20 years practitioners knowledge and knowing from that field, and then 8 years you have been working in an applied university, a top school in Finland, the only school which educates these landscape designers in our country. And what else? Yeah, and the focus on this collaboration with Sari and the Beyond Text is that while our task is to deliver a program, kind of a program of arts-based research, we are planning and co-creating it together to an applied university Sari's work. So it's going to be kind of an application of the program which fits to this specific practitioner education. What else should I say? Yeah, then in an afternoon we have another very interesting case our national railway organization, like you have a British railway organization, we have a Finnish one, and our railways are still public organization owned by our government or it's kind of our national heritage so far. But you might tell some in your presentation what might be the future look like. So we are facing this global privatizing process also in the Scandinavian countries. So railways organization also handling about that. And in that context, we are talking about what Paolo has been creating 7 or how many years? 9 years? 8. 8!
Good, yes.
Yeah, 8 years she's been designing an innovation process and a system into the organization. And she will be talking about it. And then we will be a little bit sharing what are the situated contexts where we've been working together in this arts-based context. So both of these cases will be kind of contexts where they will share their knowledge and knowing and their ideas, their doubts, their dreams, and then these contexts will be kind of our pretext to sort of think that, aha, how would you situate your practice or your background to this kind of a context, or does it resonate something to you? And then hopefully, if things goes in a nice way, I have this kind of a feeling about the issue which emerged yesterday about the researcher's position, about this how to say, perplexity, complexity of doing research in not so conventional way. So maybe we go also a little bit there in some point. Do I need to add something, Sari or Paula? Okay, all right. Then if it's okay, I'll explain this kind of a concept of practice-based innovation. And then I sketch after that, I will sketch you an kind of an idea in one, I would say metaphor, but Poppy might say that no, it's not a metaphor, it's a fact. if I can, so how I have learned how innovation process is explained in an industrial management context. And I don't say whatever I'm sort of presenting and saying, I'm not sort of saying that you need to now learn this. This is the truth. You need to learn this. This is the thing. So it's only like sharing this kind of experience. And I'm the first with the humanistic background in our university. So you can say that I have been kind of a oddball there for some years, 12 years working now. But it has been a very good kind of a, how to say, identity building path. And I think it's also part of this discussion what you sort of say that challenging the scientific, technological driven thinking. And I personally, I wouldn't at this stage of my knowing, I wouldn't say challenging. There might be, if we can create, if Poppy and I would be working together, if we would have trust enough, if we would build the trust, if we would kind of find a way, a shared interest, aha, you are willing to like explode this issue, this approach. Oh, I'm interested about how do you find this. And if we manage to create this kind of a third space where we both feel kind of safe enough to explore something together, and also a little bit get kind of sometimes irritated or confused, and what on earth, Poppy is always saying this, or Poppy saying, oh, Anne is always talking about this interpretation. There is no need of interpretation. This is the fact. We can count this. 1 + 1 is 2. So I wouldn't necessarily challenge Poppy. I would challenge myself. And that has been a kind of professional path, really strong professional path for me. To sort of, in one point, notice that, oh, I'm not talking with the engineer language. I'm not anymore talking art educator language or art practitioner language. So I was like, oh, like a little bit lost of the identity. Who am I? I'm not belonging to anyone or nowhere. And that has made me to sort of look. If I give a very simple example, there was a meeting a couple of years ago, and that was the stage where we have already trust between different style of thinkers and backgrounds. So there was a trust enough. And there's a meeting, and there was a kind of a problematic question. And then I raised the question. Okay, Poppy, but could you explain to me that what is the concept of human behind all this you're thinking? And then came kind of a total silence in the meeting room, and then I understood. Now I again sort of scratch something that is not the language. And then we had a very good question, not question, but a discussion, like a long discussion about this, that one of the professors, innovation professors said, oh well, Anne, this is the first time that I face this kind of a question or this kind of issue, that what is the concept of human? So that kind of tells the, how to say, the distance of different kind of thinkings. While I was sort of thinking, taken granted, of course, everybody is interested about learning and everybody is interested about human concept. How do we define humanity and humanistic things? So I think that it's the more to challenge arts-based researchers rather than the context where we are working. At least that's how I feel at the moment. And now I'm going to introduce this practice-based innovation concept, and then the kind of a sketch or model of innovation process as I've been introduced in industrial management courses.